Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're literally going on a journey from dark to light, uncovering the hard biological mechanics and global cultural strategies behind seasonal affective disorder. You know that feeling when the days get shorter, the temperature drops, and you suddenly get this overwhelming urge to just hibernate? Like you just want to crawl under the heaviest blanket you own, eat a massive bowl of pasta, and sleep until spring. It feels completely primal, doesn't it? To understand why that happens, let's look at Section 1, More Than Winter Blues, Clinical Categorization. So right off the bat, the DSM-5 doesn't actually view seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, as its own standalone condition. Instead, it's what they call a seasonal pattern specifier for major depressive or bipolar disorder. And the whole defining characteristic here is that it's highly predictable. It's a cyclical rhythm of mood disruption that requires a consistent pattern of seasonal episodes for at least 2 consecutive years. It's literally clockwork. Now, what is super interesting here is the sharp contrast between the two main forms of this disorder. On one hand, you have the classic winter pattern SAD. This is your true hibernation state, right? Oversleeping, intense carb cravings, lethargy, withdrawing from your friends. But on the exact opposite end of the spectrum is summer pattern SAD. It's a completely flipped clinical profile. We're talking insomnia, weight loss, severe agitation, and anxiety. So the trigger isn't necessarily the cold weather. It's the specific seasonal transition itself. Which brings us right to Section 2, the biology of seasons, internal clocks. Okay, let me introduce you to your body's internal clock. It's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN, and it sits right there in your hypothalamus. This tiny but incredibly mighty brain region is the boss of your sleep-wake cycles. But it has one major vulnerability. It relies absolutely entirely on light signals hitting your retina to reset itself every single day. So when winter rolls around and the light dips, your SCN goes through what researchers call a phase delay. Basically, your internal clock falls totally out of sync with your actual daily schedule, leaving you super groggy in the morning and restless at night. So the big takeaway here is that this isn't just a case of the winter blues. It's a very real, measurable battle happening inside your brain between serotonin, which is your mood booster, and melatonin, your hormone of darkness. 3 main biological shifts happen. First, the lack of sunlight means your body doesn't suppress the serotonin transporter, which basically sweeps away way too much of your available serotonin. Second, your brain overproduces melatonin, and it lingers way into your morning hours, giving you that heavy brain fog. And third, without enough UVB radiation, your body stops synthesizing vitamin D, which you absolutely need to create serotonin in the first place. Remember that massive bowl of pasta we talked about? If you've ever found yourself craving a literal mountain of bread or sweets right after the clocks fall back, don't beat yourself up. It's not a lack of willpower. It's actually something called the tryptophan carbohydrate synergy. Your body is biologically trying to self-medicate. Eating carbs triggers an insulin spike, which sweeps competing amino acids right out of your bloodstream. This clears a wide-open path for tryptophan to cross the blood-brain barrier and synthesize that serotonin you're desperately missing. You're literally just trying to force your brain to feel better. Let's zoom out a bit to see how this plays out geographically in Section 3, the latitude paradox, geographic impact. The data here brilliantly illustrates a robust environmental predictor known as the photoperiod effect. Just look at the US. Down in sunny Florida, SAD prevalence is super low, just 1.4%. But travel up the coast to New York, and that number more than triples to 4.7%. Go all the way up to Alaska, and you hit 9.9%. It's crystal clear. The further north you go, the more that lack of daylight just drives those symptoms right up.
But wait a second. If latitude is the ultimate predictor of seasonal depression, what is going on in places like Iceland and Norway? These folks live at extreme northern latitudes, right? They endure months of almost total darkness. Yet, surprisingly, their data shows really low rates of seasonal depression. How is that even possible?
Well, researchers think Icelanders have some incredible built-in protections. First, there's likely a genetic buffer at play, a sort of evolutionary resilience built up over generations. But the second secret weapon? It's what's on their dinner plate. The traditional Icelandic diet includes a jaw-dropping 90 kilograms of cold water fish per person every single year. That diet delivers absolutely massive doses of vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acids, which act like a neuroprotective shield against systemic inflammation and depression. Talk about a game changer. So, if you're not planning to eat 90 kilos of fish this winter, how do we fix the clock? Let's dive into Section 4, shedding light on treatments, clinical treatments.
The absolute first-line clinical intervention is bright light therapy. But you can't just switch on a regular desk lamp and call it a day. It requires very specific dose parameters to actually mimic that missing natural sunlight. The optimal intensity is 10,000 lux. You need to use it for about 30 minutes daily, ideally before 8 a.m. to shut down that lingering morning melatonin, and it absolutely 100% must have a UV filter to protect your eyes and skin.
I really want to emphasize that critical threshold, 10,000 lux. It's a magic number. If you use a lower intensity device, say 2,500 lux, you'd literally have to sit in front of it for 2 whole hours to get the exact same therapeutic effect. Nobody has time for that. Plus, the light spectrum matters. White light is the proven standard here. And interestingly enough, studies show that red light basically just acts as a placebo. It has no significant therapeutic effect on SAD symptoms at all.
But light therapy isn't the only tool in the shed. Objective meta-analyses comparing bright light therapy to cognitive behavioral therapy for SAD, or CBT-SAD, reveal something pretty fascinating. While both of these offer excellent immediate relief, their long-term durability is drastically different. By the second winter, patients who did CBT-SAD had a massive 68.3% remission rate, compared to just 44.5% for light therapy. Essentially, CBT equips patients with this permanent mental toolbox of behavioral activation and cognitive restructuring, which leads to way lower recurrence rates year after year.
Now, for more severe cases, clinical guidelines also heavily support pharmacological management, and this is a really unique approach. Medications like bupropion XL are actually used prophylactically. That means doctors might start a patient on it in the early fall, way before the seasons change, and before symptoms even show up, just to block the episode entirely. And for acute episodes that are already happening, standard SSRIs like fluoxetine are brought in to correct that active serotonin imbalance we talked about earlier. But hey, medicine and the light boxes aren't the whole story. Let's shift gears to Section 5, the Scandinavian winter mindset, cultural adaptation. There's this fantastic, very famous Norwegian proverb that says, "There is no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing." And this isn't just a cute, catchy phrase. It perfectly captures a proactive, dynamic mindset toward those harsh seasonal changes. It completely refuses to frame winter as a season of suffering. Instead, it tackles it head-on with preparation and optimism. This cultural resilience really boils down to 2 awesome concepts: frill-off sleeve and kozalig. Frill-off sleeve roughly translates to open-air living. It's this deep commitment to outdoor activity all year round, no matter what. It's essentially a natural form of behavioral activation. Then you have kozalig, which is the intentional architecture of indoor coziness. It's all about prioritizing warmth, soft lighting, and deep, meaningful social connections. Together, these 2 concepts totally reframe winter, from a dark period of isolation into a beautiful season of opportunity, rest, and intimacy. And this kind of cultural reframing is absolutely crucial for kids and teens. You see, youth often manifest SAD differently. They might show academic decline or complain of frequent physical issues like stomach aches, rather than just adult-style lethargy. The Phoenix Center offers some incredibly actionable takeaways for parents. Maximize natural daylight exposure even when it's cloudy out, fiercely maintain consistent sleep schedules, encourage open communication, and teach opposite action coping skills. That basically means training them to do the exact opposite of what the depression is urging them to do, like bundling up and going outside when all they really want to do is hide in bed. Seasonal affective disorder is just a profound example of how our human biology is so deeply tied to the environmental light cycle around us. But as we've seen, through brilliant chronotherapeutics, cognitive tools, and these amazing cultural philosophies, we are incredibly well equipped to fight back. So I leave you with this. Taking all these clinical tools and cultural insights into account, how will you reframe your own mindset to empower yourself against the calendar?